Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to New Life Live. Really glad that you're with us today. Very, very special program today with Dr. Sherry Keffer. Hey, Sherry, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, Steve. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great because we're going to be with a great man today, and this is Dr. Tony Evans is our special guest. And if you want to call and visit with him, you can call us at 1-800-229-3000. Now, the reason that we've got Tony is because he's got a brand new book, and it is a good one, and it's called Kingdom Men Rising. He wrote the book Kingdom Man, which that was fantastic, but this is Kingdom Men Rising, and we're going to just talk about some things that I think you, if you're married to a man, or you, if you are a man, I think you're going to like this. And so let me just introduce you to Tony. He is, or Dr. Evans, he is the pastor of Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship in Dallas. Also, I'll just throw in this. I know this about him. He was literally the first African-American to earn a doctorate of theology from Dallas Theological Seminary, which I just think is absolutely, what an accomplishment that was, and kind of sad that it's taken this long and where we are in this whole progress that we're doing. But hey, that is an amazing thing. And he's got an amazing broadcast called The Alternative with Dr. Tony Evans. So Dr. Evans, welcome to New Life Live. How are you?
Glad to be with you. Thank you for having me. We're pressing on in a troubled world that needs God more than ever.
Well, you know what I love about this book? I heard somebody the other day say, if I told you the solution to a lot of the teen suicide and teen drug abuse and the violence and racism and everything, if I told you that solution, you'd probably want to do it. And then she said, well, here it is. Men need to be men, and they need to stay married, and they need to raise their kids. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great summary, because it fits a biblical profile that God would hold a man ultimately responsible not only for his family but for the culture. Yeah. Not because women weren't and aren't critical and strategic, but that men would bear the brunt of ultimate responsibility. And because we've abdicated that role, it has opened up fissures and schisms and catastrophe throughout our lives and throughout our land.
I agree with you there. And I just, I'm often saying to folks, stop waiting for God to do what God's waiting for you to do. And you write in your book, while many of us are waiting on God to fix what is wrong, He's waiting on us to step up as men of faith, and do what is right. And I really think you've got a great book to help men stand up and do the right thing.
Well, as you said, it is a sequel to Kingdom Man, and it's a challenge for men to go to the next level, not only in their lives, but in their influence, because God is a generational God, and we've not done a good job of transferring because we don't have enough to transfer. So we're challenging men to become men of transfer, because they have gotten to the place where they have accumulated enough God operating in them, to them, with them, and through them, that there is a legacy to pass on to the next generation.
All right. Well, this is Dr. Tony Evans, everybody, and he's a pastor, a speaker. He's an amazing communicator. He's made a big, big difference in this world, and he wants men to lead with not dictatorship-type leadership, but with compassion and love. But we've got a responsibility as men, and we need to step up to that, and we'll talk about that. The name of the book, it is a great one, Kingdom Men Rising. Dr. Tony Evans is the author, and our guest today will be back right after this.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met. connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, June 25th through the 27th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and again, that phone number, if you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000. And Dr. Keffer, I know, Sherry, that you have read Dr. Evans' book. What do you want us to talk about? I know what I want to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
I loved your book, Dr. Evans, and I couldn't wait to be on here with you today. And I love what you just said about men transferring to the next generation. The thought I had as I read your book and was just thinking about what you said is we've got an enemy that really wants, instead of men to be the one that transfers, the enemy wants men to become gophers so they can't transfer. So gopher is, being in the dark, a closed door, or boredom. Those are three things that often happen when men get caught up in, as you talked about in your book, these idols, idolatry. And I think about Ashtoreth, the goddess of pornography that is alive and well today in our community. What do you say to that? It's undermining. This is kind of like the stealth mission in the church. It's undermining families and men, and it's hobbling them at their knees.
Well, absolutely. It's the ultimate deception because it is derived from a legitimate desire. The legitimate desire for sexual intimacy is a legitimate desire. But, of course, as Satan likes to do, he takes that which is legitimate and he perverts it and turns it into something illegitimate. And what men need to understand is, I'll challenge their manhood. When you have to piggyback on the intimacy of somebody else, are you implying you don't have enough to handle it yourself?
Well,
and it's true. It's really a false intimacy. It's not even intimacy anyway, right? It's
definitely false. But we need to. It is now time for men to be challenged. Men are not being challenged at the level that their manhood really needs, because God would call the men of Israel out 3 times a year and meet with them in order to tell them how He wants stuff run. And He wouldn't bring the women. It was just the men, Exodus 34, verses 23 and 24. And then He said, if you'll pay attention to me, I'm going to send you back, and then I'll save your nation. Well, it's because men are not willing to have that meeting with God as a way of that orientation and lifestyle that the whole nation is plummeting into the abyss.
All right, I want to go to a call real quick, and then we'll come back and talk more about the book. This is Sue from Boston, Massachusetts. And Sue, we're glad that you're with us and you listen on the great station WEZE. How are you today, and what do you have to say?
I am well in the Lord, thank you. And I just want to say that it's a living scripture for me to be able to call in right now where God says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Because a desire on my heart was to extend my gratitude to Dr. Evans, this side of heaven, for all of his preaching and teaching. And he knows the Lord so well, and he knows the Word. And God's impacted my life through you, Dr. Evans. And I'm out here in Massachusetts where we need what you offer, what you love, and what you've devoted your life to. And I'm so blessed. So that's why I happen I use that word in quotes, to get in my car, tuned into the show. Heard that you were the guest speaker today, and I just praise God. And remember, he who waters others will himself be watered, so be blessed.
Well,
That's a
always
wonderful
great
call.
to be encouraged. Thank you.
Well, Sue, thank you for that.
I thank you.
Yeah, thank you for calling us on that. And, you know, Dr. Evans, you do have such a great reputation, and we've, of course, we've just been through one of the most horrific revelations of Ravi Zacharias and what was going on there in his life while he was just one of the most respected people ever. Wanted to know, what do you do to keep yourself from getting in trouble, or how do you avoid temptation? What are some of those things that you think, well, you do them and you think every man ought to do them?
Well, you definitely have to have, be pursuing your own walk with the Lord, but in a context of community and accountability.
There you go.
If you're a Lone Ranger Christian and you don't have legitimate accountability in your life, then you're going to subject yourself to the enemy at a level because you don't have support soldiers around you. So it's absolutely critical that we as men are in an environment of accountability with other men. So I have men that I meet with, not only my elders, but some individual men who hold me responsible and accountable. No matter how high you get, you can go low real quick. So,
That's right.
So it's really critical that we have accountability in our lives.
Well, let me just do another quote here from the book that's so great. I say all the time that your feelings have a point, but it's not the point. You, being the better writer, here's how you say it. You say, feelings are not the measure of a man's commitment. The measure of a man's heart is revealed through what he does. A lot of men don't know this, but we can see you. we see what you're doing. No matter what you say, it's different. What I think you're talking about when we see a man who is doing things for the kingdom, you're talking about a leader with character. And you need both in a man. You need character and you need leadership both, or it really gets messed up in the process.
Well, absolutely. When we when we do not make equal our competence alongside of our character, and our character alongside of our competence, then you have a seesaw kind of life, and that up and down kind of life because you're favoring one over the other from being balanced moving forward. So we must pursue character and competence in every area of our lives. And where we see flaws, we must acknowledge them, admit them, and set in place a process to overcoming them rather than ignoring them.
Yeah. So let's just talk about, we've mentioned pornography as a huge problem for men that sidetrack their leadership, sidetrack their character. What else do you see in our society that's a really big challenge for men? It's tough for them to deal with.
Well, I think the biggest thing is accepting their definition and responsibility as a man, because we live in a culture that is misdefining manhood in one direction or another. It's dumbing down men so that men have become too passive, or it is amplifying men so that they think manhood is dominance and domineering.
Yeah.
Rather than understanding that biblical manhood is accepting your responsibility under God, which means you need to learn out what that responsibility is, how it's to be executed in the 4 areas of God's kingdom: your personal life, your family life, your church engagement, and your cultural representation. And until those 4 areas are being defined and actualized and implemented according to God's divine prescription, then all of those areas are going to be jeopardized. I mean, when Adam and Eve blew it, God didn't say, Adam and Eve, where are y'all? He said, Adam, where are you? When the Bible talks about death, it says, in Adam all died, not in Adam and Eve. That's because the man was held responsible. And when men know that you are held responsible for those spheres alongside of the appropriate woman in your life, then what you do is you subjugate those spheres to the enemy, and once you open that door, You don't even have to open it. Just unlock it. He'll open it himself.
Now, let me address something that we hear about sometimes, and then I want to go to another caller here. But a lot of times when we talk about man's role and leadership and God calling him forward, a lot of women feel insulted, or they, maybe they've been hurt by a man, and it's painful for them to hear this because I think we've really lost the way God has made us, and gender differences and all that kind of stuff. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. When I wrote the first book, Kingdom Man, I had a section in there on the importance of women. When God created Eve, he gave the Hebrew phrase is ezer kenigdo, which is not a cook and bottle washer. Ezer kenigdo means an essential collaborator. So a woman, a wife in this case, is an essential collaborator, not just an extra support system. Yeah. So she is to bring her gifts, talents, skills to the table, and those should be heard and valued, even though the man will be held finally accountable. Now, you make a great point that many women have been abused and misused, so that's made them legitimately suspect of men. And that's why you want to say to the man in your life, or the man who will be in your life, to whom are you accountable spiritually? Because if they're refusing to be accountable spiritually, they're telling you they're not willing or ready to be the leader God has called them to be.
Yeah, that's pretty tough news for a lot of people, because there are a lot of folks that are faking. And let's go over here to Laura from Louisville, Kentucky, and let's see what Laura has on her mind today. Hey, Laura, you're on with Dr. Sherry Keffer and Dr. Tony Evans here. How you doing?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. It's probably, I'm going to try not to praise him so much, because I want to talk, I want to let him know that we have been looking at his book, Kingdom Men. I have a group of girls that come to the house, and they're listening to Priscilla's Breathe. And then I also told them to listen to you on the Men's Kingdom, because a lot of them are 25 and they're getting married or they're looking. And so we talk about your definition of what men should be, which also helps me since I'm a divorced woman, and it's helped me learn what I need to look for in a man. But I just want to thank you so much for giving us the truth on from the very beginning on how God created man and wanted him to be our leader, and that it's okay for a woman to want to be a helper and not be equal and all that stuff. And anyway, I just thank you so much for doing that.
Well, thank you. It has been encouraging to hear from so many women who feel like the book has blessed them in relationship to the men in their or the man in their life, and so it's encouraging to do that. And what we're trying to do with the new book, Kingdom and Rising, is to create a movement among men that it becomes something that one man is encouraging another man to become. And not just I want to become it, but I want to maximize my influence in every direction, so that any male in my sphere is going to know what a kingdom man is and what he is to become, and I'm going to help influence that.
Well,
I
see.
see.
Definitely in this. Sorry.
Go ahead, Laura.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Laura.
I just wanted to tell him I also met you years ago at this little church that you came to it in Louisville, and I was the only single person in this marriage conference because I wanted to meet you, and I did. And we got our picture made, and and it was such a blessing because I watched all these men literally start breaking down and crying as you was having them redo their vows with them. I mean, it was such a blessing to me. So anyway, I just love you. I'm so thankful for you, and I can't say enough, so I'll shut up now.
Awesome. Well, Laura, thanks for your call. Let me send you a copy of this book. And by the way, we don't often do this, but we're doing it with this book. A gift of any amount, and I'll send you a copy of Dr. Evans' book, The Kingdom Men Rising. That's what we want to see happen, Kingdom Men Rising. And, I've got a break coming up here, and when we come back, I'll go to you, Kim. But, one of the things that, my wife and I are working on these 2 Bible projects, and mine is the 1-Year Bible for Men. And on the same day, there's an Old Testament passage about good old Aaron, the chief priest, first one. He's worshiping a golden calf. You turn over the New Testament, there's Peter, and he's denying he ever met Jesus. But But God didn't remove the calling from their lives. He restored those two. And I really believe that if you're a man and you've just messed up, gotten in trouble, you may be like I was at one time, thinking, well, God just can't use me. I've just gone too far. I've done too much. But here's a book. If you read this book, you're going to see you have a place in the kingdom, and you have a role in the kingdom. And God still is waiting for you to accept his salvation, his forgiveness, and jump right back into that call. 1-800-229-3000. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. Tony Evans, Dr. Tony Evans. The title of the book, Kingdom Men Rising, a call to growth and greater influence, but that's healthy influence, that's balance, that's Christ-centered influence is what Dr. Evans is talking about. Gift of any amount at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I will send this book to you. We'll be back after this.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
I believed that I could do it on my own. I just believed if I tried hard enough and pulled myself up hard enough by my bootstraps, I could do it. It was a battle that I'd had all my life. I had to get help.
The Every Man's Battle workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle workshop will be held online May 1st. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
The single most helpful thing was to realize that I wasn't the weirdest guy on the planet.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. I said that I would go right there to Kim. She listens on our New Life app. She's calling all the way from St. Cloud, Minnesota. And Kim, you're on with Dr. Tony Evans, Dr. Sherry Keffer, Steve Arterburn here. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on your program, and thanks for your insight as I've been listening on this app just as of less than a week, and it's already brought me great comfort, so I very much appreciate that option. My question is, how can I help my husband of 28 years see that he's been verbally abusive? His father was the same way, and I feel after listening to you guys and knowing that we really do need to counsel to get to kind of the root of maybe some of his childhood issues and to bring us out of this cycle of fighting.
So how do you get men to get help for themselves, Dr. Evans? It really is a frustration for a lot of women that he just doesn't want to change.
Well, I would say a couple of things. Number one, I assume you've offered counseling that has been rejected. Is that correct?
Slightly. We did go to 2 counseling sessions in December, and then things got busy. It got canceled. Things were less stressful, and then we tried to go back to talk about doing it, and the fighting got so bad that he said, it's not worth it because I have everything figured out.
Well, I would then reintroduce it since he's not totally against it, because he's gone before and is just in a mood that he doesn't want to do it right now. I would reintroduce it and let him know that the reason that you want to go is because you want help too, so that it doesn't seem like you're taking him to a beat him up session, which will cause resistance. Yeah. But let him know I need help too. If he resists, then say, well, I'm going to go get counseling. And at that point, if you can go to somebody who he respects, have that person then contact him based on their counseling with you, so that you now have help to try to bring him help.
Sure.
You know, and the other thing, too, if I was talking to both of you and I was referring you to a marriage counselor, I would be saying, I want you to commit to me that in the first session, you are not going to try to prove that the other person is a bigger problem than you are. Because, you know, you see people come together and he's talking about all the bad stuff and she's talking about all the bad stuff. When, look, if you just let the counselor do their work, they're going to help you figure that out and get some hope from it. Sherry, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I think, Dr. Evans, you brought up a word, which is help. And earlier you talked about ezer kenegdos. In the ancient Hebrew, like you said, there's so much more to that word. And ezer, big E, E-Z-E-R, the only other person that is spoken of as a big E is God himself. And it's spoken of God as our help and our champion. The little e, which is he called Eve, ezer kenegdos, is a warrior companion of fierce strength. And as I'm hearing you, Kim, you're actually fighting for your marriage. You're fighting for your husband.
I feel like that.
Yeah, and that's in our very DNA. It's in the how we're made in the image of God as women. Kenegdo has to do, it's used one time in the ancient Hebrew. It's of equality. We are equal in divine in our dignity before God. And our roles are different, right? And Dr. Tony talks about that in his book. But as an ezer kenegdo, you are inviting him up. You are calling him up. And what Dr. Evans said is true. If your husband is not willing to go with you, right, to help your marriage, then you go and you grow in your ability to help yourself and have somebody, an ally, a therapist with you that can be an ezer for your family. Because something's going on, whether he's hurt and he's got some replications from his background, right, his former abuse, or whether he's hiding something. A lot of times we see anger if there's pornography and it's being hidden. And so they gaslight us, right, as a way of trying to not let us see what's going on. It can be very confusing. But at this point, we don't know. But having somebody help you is really the step in the right direction.
I'm so glad that you called, and I hope that's helpful to you. And I'm going to send you a copy of this book, and I hope that your husband will like it. I think it's great if every woman were to read it. Just asking one more question here about the book, Dr. Evans. In your experience, what are some of the most common misconceptions that men have about their role and that they're carrying out in relationship with women? What do you say about that?
Well, one is limiting the role to provision. Mm-hmm. That if I'm providing, I'm going to work every day, I'm bringing my money home, then you should be satisfied. Mm-hmm. Of course, that's not the way you felt when you were dating her. Okay,
right?
You were not trying to just provide the meals, assuming you didn't make her go Dutch. You were also imparting into her mind, her life, her emotions, and her soul. Mm-hmm. In the Bible, you don't date to marry. In the Bible, you marry to date. So what you do prior to marriage really needs to be amped up after marriage, so that she sees her value internally and not just through external provision.
Amen. Well, I love that. That's really, really good. All of that is the wisdom of Dr. Tony Evans, and it's in this great new book, Kingdom Men Rising, A Gift of Any Amount. I'll send you a copy. You'll love it because it honors men and their role, without dishonoring women. We'll be back right after this.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., July 23rd to the 25th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Mylan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 8 books in the Arterburn Wellness series, including Understanding and Loving a Person with Depression and Understanding and Loving a Person with Alcohol and Drug Addiction. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Tony Evans, and Dr. New Life is here. Larry Sonnenberg. Larry, what did you bring into the studio for us today?
Well, I brought a testimony, but I feel bad taking time away from Dr. Evans, so I'll try to go through this quick.
But first, let me just point out, if anybody's watching us, Larry has a black eye, and it's not because, someone hit you. You just had some basal cancer surgery, and that was, what happened afterwards. So pray for Larry, if you all can, and that he heals.
Thank you.
Taking care of business then.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I want to encourage folks to sign up for our Club New Life. We need to get that growing a little bit because we lost a few over this transitional time we've talked about before. Let me tell you what someone said, who's a Club New Life member. We joined Club New Life because of something Steve said on the radio. He said that not all of us have the opportunity to help like New Life does, but our support might be a part of saving someone's life, might help someone in a dire place, save a marriage, etc. That's why we gave. This is a way for us to share beyond how we try to serve the Lord in our local world. For example, we serve in a marriage mentoring ministry, but how many will we reach? On the other hand, all of us who support like this, how many will you reach through your extensive audience and platform? So folks, we have a great gift for thank you. We have the Understanding and Loving series. There's 8 books, and it's for you who are dealing with people with issues, and you don't really know how you can help them. What am I supposed to do and not do? So things like depression, alcoholism, anxiety, bipolar, there's 8 of them. So if you could help us sign up, we'd appreciate it. It makes a big difference, and thank you everybody who has.
And every person that is a co-author on that series is a committed, really conservative Christian who's trying to help people through personal experience and through their education and the practice that they have. And I just think you can trust this. But it's the Arterburn Wellness series. We send you 8 books, our way of saying thank you for joining Club New Life at $30 a month. But also, gift of any amount, we'll send you Dr. Tony Evans' book that we're talking about here, Kingdom Men Rising. Thank you, Larry, for that. 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number to call. And let's go back to our calls for Dr. Tony Evans. Now, remember, gift of any amount, we're going to send you this brand new book. It was published, or the publication date was April the 6th. So it is just out right now. So let's just go to Lois from Baltimore, Maryland, listening on WAVA. Lois, what do you have for us here?
Yes, I was trying to see how can I have my son draw strength and be the man in the relationship with his fiancée. We've been through some tough times lately with the loss of my daughter last year, and then him having kidney issues, and he just sits back and just gets bowled over. And I need him to be strong and be the man in the relationship. What advice do you have, please?
Well, I want to say this before Dr. Evans and Dr. Keffer answer to you. I think when our kids get in situations like this, we're looking for some magic words to say to reverse something that may be in place for a very long time. But what do you think, Dr. Evans, would be a path for him? You said it's his fiancée, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Dr. Evans?
Well, I would say, since he's planning to get married, having some good marriage counseling that will zero in on his responsibility is key. He should get marriage counseling, period. But he also needs man counseling with marriage counseling. So he gets some man counseling. So that means you need the right kind of counseling. It's not just talking about the relationship, but talking about his role in the relationship. We have some materials and some videos that can help you at our website, tonyevans.org, that can help with that both on the marriage and the man side. But that's what he needs, some input in his life from somebody who can help with marriage and manhood.
I love that. You know, you talked about in your book that idea of grab a hand with Peter lifting up the man who was lame. And it's more than standing on the wayside. It's more than, you know, men putting their hands on their hips. It's grabbing a hand. And what it makes me think of, Lois, is I wanted to ask you, where's your son's dad? Where's his daddy? Where have the men been in his life? Because I hear you saying, I want him to be a man. I hear that Ezra, and yet my sense is he hasn't really had that male support. And so when hard times when hard times come, he, like your daughter, so sorry about the loss of your daughter, or challenging times, he collapses from those painful events and those traumas in his life.
Well, I want to give you some just general advice for this son of yours, and that is this. You know, this book, I'm going to send it to you, but every man needs a book, a Bible, and a buddy. And you really need a body of Christ, a church, for you to develop into godly manhood, especially when there has been no father. And I tell you, like in our church, we have just these men, older men, middle-aged men, that are there for younger men. They're models, they're mentors. And so let me send you this book, and I hope that you'll, and the book probably will motivate him. He'll want to get in fellowship with some other men. I hope that that's going to be the case. The title of the book, again, Kingdom Men Rising. Dr. Evans writes very well. He writes from his personal experience, from his heart, but he knows truth. And, you know, if you've been around New Life very long, we like to talk about true truth. Not truth in a manipulative way, but truth the way God intended for us to understand it. Now, let me ask you this, Dr. Evans, before we go back to another call. What do you think would happen in our nation if all of the men integrated into their lives these principles we're talking about right out of the Bible, and they're right there in your book? What do you think would happen?
Well, first of all, we would God would be much more comfortable intervening in our circumstances. God is uncomfortable intervening in our circumstances because we're not coming to Him on His terms. We're coming to Him asking Him to bless our terms, and that's the wrong song. That's backwards Christian soldiers.
Yeah, right.
So until we get people who come to Him on His terms, then He is not obligated to involve and invest His glory and His name in our agenda. He's got a kingdom agenda, which is why He needs kingdom men.
Amen. Wow. Well, that is awesome. And I really appreciate what you're saying there. All right, let's, let's see. Let's go to Victor from Boston, Massachusetts. Victor is listening on the station WROL. Hey, Victor, how are you today?
Oh, how you doing, Steve? Thank you so very much. You all are so funny. You make my day at times. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. How could we help you today?
Well, Dr. Evans, I want to say I really consider it an honor and a privilege talking to you, sir. It's like better than talking to the President of the United States, seriously. I admire your candor and biblical knowledge and experience. Thank you so much. I'm calling because I'm close to 60. I almost got married when I was 29. I found out my girlfriend, the fiancée, was cheating on me, and I almost killed her. The only thing that stopped me, I think God had her mother in the car with me, and that eased things down. But I was wondering, I kind of had a fear of getting married again for some reason, I think, and I don't know what I should do about it. That's, I know you give good advice on men and how they should handle issues like that. So.
Well, yes. Obviously, when we're hurt, it impacts future decisions because that becomes a point of reference for us.
Yeah.
But what you don't want is to let yesterday's pain cancel tomorrow's joy.
There you go.
And so what you want to do today, between yesterday and tomorrow, is ask God to bring into your life a woman who will be a complement to you and you be a complement to her, and then confirm it with 2 or 3 witnesses. When you're not sure because you've had yesterday's pain, the Bible has a principle, by 2 and 3 witnesses shall a matter be confirmed. So when you're not certain about a legitimate decision, and marriage is a legitimate decision and a divinely designed decision, then you ask God for confirmation about the person and the process involved in moving forward.
If I could step in for just a moment, as Dr. Evans said, and maybe be a woman who will say this to you: I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Victor, that you were betrayed. And underneath that anger that you had back then was a ton of hurt, fear, and sadness. But you've got what I would call a deadly duo. What got wired in at that day, in that moment, was can't trust myself and I can't trust anyone else. And my friend, those 2 lies have kept you hogtied for years.
We'll be back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800. New Life.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and I'm so grateful that there was no murder here. That that he didn't kill anybody. That's a great gift. When I was betrayed by a woman, I did want to kill her, but as I healed, I didn't want to kill her. I just wanted her to die. So I was making progress there, and then pretty soon I was able to pray good things for her, but it wasn't easy. It was a process. I've only got time for one more caller. I'm going to go to Ro, and she's there in Dallas, and you're on with Dr. Tony Evans. Ro.
Hi, thank you guys for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm just heartbroken. Last summer in June, I've been married for over 30 years to a pastor. Our oldest daughter came to me and told me that she had been molested by him when she was about 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
And it broke my heart.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
And I have been struggling. And
well,
I moved out.
Okay, now what did you do? Did you call anybody? Did you call and report this to anybody when that happened?
Yes,
Good.
sir. I've gone through all of that.
Yeah.
The police said that she has to actually come in and file charges. She doesn't want to do that. She says she can't handle it. But I moved out, and my question today is, because he has done nothing to. He said he didn't do it, but beyond that, he's tried to paint her as this miserable, horrible person, and he said she's just lying to me, just to try to break us apart.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the question for? Yeah, what do you want us to help you with?
My question is, what's a good time frame of waiting if somebody has no repentance or shows no remorse, doesn't admit to doing anything wrong? I mean, what's left? We're in counseling, me and my daughter. He has not done any kind of counseling, and like I said, he's a pastor, and he's just painted himself as, I'm going to pray for her, and that's it. He's not pursuing me. He's not pursuing her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dr. Evans, what do you have to say here? This is really a sad situation.
Yeah. Okay. I would say a couple things have to happen. First of all, because we're dealing with you're saying this and she's saying this, and we're going to get counseling. But unless you participate in the counseling we're trying to get, then I'm going to have to take it further. In order for me not to consider taking it further, I use the word consider because of what may come out, you have to participate in this process with us. And I would put him in a situation where he has to make a decision that it would be in his best interest to participate, at least on the counseling level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I agree with you, Dr. Evans. What happens to us, Ro, and I, too, am a former pastor's wife, that there was some sexual acting out and deception. And what happens with us, my dear, is we feel like we have to collude with the deception because he's got a lot to lose. He's got a lot to lose, right? He's a pastor and he has a congregation and nobody knows. Nobody knows about what happened, that your daughter's been a victim of molest. Nobody knows that you've experienced sexual betrayal.
I want to let you know that she did do a post on social media to tell her story. And so the people know, the church knows. None of the deacons have come to me in this 10-month period.
Wow.
Nobody has asked me nothing. I stopped going to church. I was the musician, and I quit. I just couldn't deal with it. But none of these people have come to me, and my heart is just broken.
Yeah, that's horrible. That is very hard. Now, I want to say something to you real quick, because we don't have a lot of time. But there is a person who may, at some point, if you divorce and he remarries, may do this again to somebody else. And if I was you, I would be saying to your counselor, help me, help my daughter to be strong enough to report this so that something good could come out of it, whether it's the world being protected from him or just my daughter being treated well and letting her know that she is believed and that somebody cares. Because it sounds like that in your world, a lot of people aren't stepping forward to care about her or you. And so it's really important, I think, when these things happen, that someone who has been traumatized like this needs to be reported. There are many, many organizations in my town here in Indianapolis. There have to be many of them there in Dallas that could help her in addition to just getting counseling once a week. There are organizations that are funded just to help people with trauma here. And, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I want to send you a copy of Healing is a Choice. I hope that will be helpful to you. And I'll also send you this book by Dr. Tony Evans, Kingdom Men Rising. Dr. Evans, as we close out the program, what are you hoping will happen if a man reads your book, Kingdom Men Rising?
That he will decide to become one, and then he will decide to help other men become one too, so that we spread the fire.
Well, I just am so grateful that we got to have you on the program. I'm grateful you've got another wonderful book. Both you and I have spoken for Promise Keepers. We're on the Pastoral Advisory Board. It's a wonderful thing, and I just, as so many of the folks that have called have said, we really admire you here. You are a teacher of true truth.
Can I have one thing? Dr.
Yeah.
Evans, what would you say to that pastor? If you could be face to face with that situation, the pastor that Roe just talked about, what would you speak to him as a pastor to pastors?
Well, first of all, I would say you need to come to grips with your sin. You must confess your sin to those who you have offended. Seek their forgiveness. Go with them to seek family healing. And you probably need to take, while you go through this process of healing, a leave of absence so that we can see how much further we can move forward, if we can at all. But at least you can say, we tried. I tried.
Thank you, Dr. Evans.
Yeah, complacency and passivity doesn't solve problems like this. And you think of, when you hear this woman, the pain, agony, and suffering that she's going through. It's just horrific. And if any of those folks at the church there are listening, isn't it time that you stepped up here and called her and said, hey, we know you're hurting, and we love you and we care about you. Well, thank you, Dr. Evans. The book is Kingdom. Yeah, thank you for being here. Kingdom Men Rising. You call us, gift of any amount, we'll get it to you. Also, I want to be sure that you don't forget that coming up, Every Man's Battle, it is the workshop that changes so many men's lives, starts them on the road to integrity and character. That's coming up right here on May the 1st. And then Restore will be in Dallas. That's on June the 25th. If you need some help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Or if you can help us, it's the same number, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thank you, Dr. Keffer. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.